My name is Elena Novak. I'm 91 years old. And this is the story of how a Soviet intelligence officer turned me into a prostitute for 6 months, disfigured my face with acid when I tried to escape, and how I spent 40 years systematically destroying his military career, his reputation, and his family's honor. I slowly remove my scarf, revealing the left side of my face. Deep scars from acid burns. Distorted skin. My left eye partially closed. Major Dmitry Sokolov did this to me in February 1946. I was 17 years old. He said, "No man will ever want you now. You'll die ugly and alone." He was wrong about everything. I leaned toward the camera, my scarred face fully visible. I didn't die. I outlived him by 15 years. And before he died in 2006, disgraced and stripped of all honors, he knew I was the one who destroyed him. Piece by piece, year by year, I took everything from him. His rank, his reputation, his pension, his family's respect, everything. My undamaged right side of my face shows a cold smile. He thought burning my face would silence me. Instead, it made me unforgettable. Every person who saw my scars asked what happened. And I told them, over and over, for 4 decades. His face is forgotten. Mine people remember. And they remember exactly who did this to me. I touch the scars gently. This is my weapon, my proof, my testimony carved into my own flesh. He marked me, and that mark destroyed him. I was born in 1929 in Prague, Czechoslovakia. Beautiful city. Culture. Music. Art. My family was working class. Father worked in a factory. Mother was a seamstress. We had 3 children. My older brother Joseph, me, and my younger sister Anna, who was 12. We weren't political. Just normal people trying to survive. The Nazis occupied us during the war. It was terrible. Arrests, executions, deportations. But we survived somehow. Father kept his head down, worked, didn't cause trouble. We made it through. May 1945. The war ended. Nazis were defeated. Soviet army liberated Prague. We celebrated. Dancing in the streets. Finally free. Finally safe. Or so we thought. I was 16 years old. Pretty girl. Long blonde hair, blue eyes, slim figure. I worked helping mother with sewing. Dreamed of becoming a teacher. I had a boyfriend, Tomas, a sweet boy from our neighborhood. We planned to marry when I turned 18. But liberation wasn't what we expected. Soviet soldiers were everywhere. At first they were fine, friendly, giving candy to children. But then the officers started setting up administration. NKVD, Soviet secret police. They were looking for Nazi collaborators, they said. Arresting people. Interrogating. My father was arrested in June 1945. Accused of collaborating because he worked in a factory that made parts for Germans. Ridiculous. He had no choice. They'd have shot him if he refused. But they arrested him anyway. Took him to NKVD headquarters. We didn't see him for 3 weeks. When he came back, he was broken, beaten, bruised, traumatized. He'd been tortured. They wanted him to sign confessions saying he was Nazi sympathizer. He refused. They beat him more. Finally released him but kept him under surveillance. He was never the same. That's when I first saw Major Sokolov. Late June 1945. He came to our apartment with 2 soldiers. NKVD officer. Mid-30s, cold eyes, spoke decent Czech. Said he was checking on families of suspected collaborators. Looked around our tiny apartment. His eyes landed on me. He asked my age. Father said 16. Sokolov smiled. Said, "She's almost woman. Pretty. Good Czech stock." Made my skin crawl the way he looked at me. Like I was merchandise. Then he left. But he came back. Sokolov came back twice more in July. Always with questions about father. But really, he was looking at me. Staring. Making comments. Your daughter is very beautiful, Mrs. Novak. You should be proud. Mother didn't like him. Neither did I. But what could we do? He was NKVD. Refuse him and we'd all be arrested. In August, father was arrested again. This time they said they had new evidence of collaboration. They were going to send him to labor camp in Soviet Union. 10 years. Mother was hysterical. Joseph was 19, threatened to fight them. They arrested him too for threatening a Soviet officer. Now father and Joseph were both gone. Just me, mother, and little Anna. No income. No protection. Terrified. And then Sokolov came to the apartment alone. Late at night. He sat at our kitchen table. Told mother, I can help your husband and son. I have influence. I can make the charges disappear. But you need to do something for me in return. Mother asked what? He looked directly at me. Your daughter, Elena. She can work for me. I need someone to entertain visiting Soviet officials. Keep them company. Make them feel welcome. Nothing terrible. Just companionship. 6 months. If she does this, your husband and son go free. If she refuses, they go to Siberia and die there. I felt sick. I knew what he meant. Entertain meant sex. He wanted to make me a prostitute for Soviet officers. Mother started crying. She's only 16. She's a child. This is wrong. Sokolov shrugged. War is over, but occupation continues. You want your family intact. This is the price. Elena understands, don't you? He looked at me. 6 months. Then you're free. Your family is safe. Or refuse, and they die. Choose. What choice did I have? My father and brother would die in Siberia. Mother and Anna would starve without income. I was the only bargaining chip we had. So I said yes. And Sokolov smiled. Good girl. You start tomorrow. I'll send a car. The next day, a car came. Took me to a building in central Prague, NKVD headquarters. They took me to the top floor. Nice apartment. Furniture. Rugs. Food. Completely different from the gray offices below. A woman was there. Soviet woman, maybe 40 years old. Hard face. She looked me over like I was a horse she was buying. Said in Russian, too thin. Too young looking. But pretty enough. She'll do. They gave me a bath. First hot bath I'd had in months. Then gave me a dress. Nice dress. Better than anything I owned. Makeup. Did my hair. The woman said, you're here to make Soviet officers feel at home. You smile. You laugh at their jokes. You drink with them. You do whatever they ask. Understand. If you refuse or cause problems, your family dies. If you try to escape, your family dies. If you tell anyone, your family dies. Understand. I understood. I was 16 years old and I'd just been turned into a prostitute. That first night, Sokolov brought a colonel. Older man, 50s, drunk. Sokolov said, this is Elena. She'll take care of you tonight. Then left us alone. The colonel raped me. That's what it was. Rape. I cried. He didn't care. When he finished, he gave me chocolate and left. I sat in that apartment crying until morning. Then they brought me breakfast and Sokolov came. Good job. See? Not so terrible. You'll get used to it. I didn't get used to it. But I had no choice. Every night for the next month, they brought different officers. Sometimes Soviet, sometimes visiting communists from other countries. Colonels, majors, captains. All using me. I was just 16. Virgin before that first night. Now I was a prostitute serving the Soviet occupation forces. Sokolov checked on me weekly. Asked how I was doing. Brought me food, cigarettes, vodka. Treated me almost kindly. But reminded me, your father and brother are still alive because of you. Don't forget that. Carrot and stick. Kindness and threats. After a month, I asked about my family. He said Father and Joseph were released from detention but being watched. Keep cooperating and they'll be fine. 6 months, remember? You're doing well. Just keep going. 5 more months of hell to go. Month 2 was worse. They brought more men. Sometimes 2 in one night. I stopped crying. Stopped feeling. Became numb. Just went through the motions. Smile. Drink. Submit. Repeat. But Sokolov wanted more. He said I needed to get information from the officers. Listen to their conversations. Report what they talked about, military information, political opinions, anything. I was being turned into a spy too. Prostitute and informant. I did it. What choice did I have? I'd report what men said when they were drunk and talking. Most of it was meaningless. Complaints about superior officers, gossip about their wives, military transfers. But Sokolov wanted every detail. Month 3. December 1945. Cold winter. I'd been doing this for 3 months. I was 17 now, birthday passed without celebration. I'd been raped by approximately 40 different men. I'd become hard, cold, dead inside. But I survived. Then Tomas found me. My boyfriend. He'd been looking for me. Someone told him where I was. He came to the building, tried to see me. Guards wouldn't let him. He stood outside shouting my name. I heard him from the window. I wanted to die. The boy I loved, the boy I was going to marry, knew I was in there. Knew what I was doing. I wanted to jump from that window. End it all. But I thought of Father, Joseph, Mother, Anna. I had to survive for them. Sokolov found out Tomas had come. He was angry. Security risk, he said. He had Tomas arrested. Accused him of espionage. I begged Sokolov to let him go. Please, he's nobody, he won't tell anyone, please. Sokolov said, fine. But you owe me. Extra work. No complaints. Extra work meant Sokolov himself. He'd been the one bringing other men but never touching me. Now he started using me too. Once a week. He was rougher than the others. Meaner. Got satisfaction from my pain. And he'd talk while he did it. You belong to me. Your body, your life, everything. I own you. Month 5. February 1946. I'd been prostituted for 5 months. I was supposed to have 1 month left. But Sokolov told me, the arrangement is working so well, I'm extending it. Another 6 months. Your family still needs protection, after all. I snapped. Something inside me broke. He was never going to let me go. This would continue forever. I was going to die in that apartment being raped by Soviet officers until I was used up. I couldn't do it anymore. I planned to escape. There was a girl who brought food, Czech girl, sympathetic. I begged her to help me. She agreed to leave a door unlocked. I'd sneak out during the night when no officers were there, get home, we'd flee Prague somehow. Anywhere. Just escape. February 15th, 1946. The door was unlocked as promised. I crept out at 3 a.m. Made it down the stairs. Got outside. Started running through the dark streets. I was free. I was going to make it. I didn't make it. Sokolov had been testing me. The unlocked door was a trap. He wanted to see if I'd try to escape. Guards grabbed me 2 blocks away. Dragged me back. Sokolov was waiting. He was furious. Not just angry, cold fury. He said, I gave you everything. Protection for your family. Food. Shelter. And you betray me? You try to run. There are consequences. He had a bottle of acid. Industrial acid from a factory. He said, you think you're pretty enough to escape? To have a normal life? Let me fix that. I tried to run. Guards held me down. And he poured acid on the left side of my face. The pain was beyond description. Burning. Melting. Screaming. I thought I was dying. My face was on fire. I could smell my own skin burning. I passed out from the pain. When I woke up, I was in a military hospital. Burns covering the left side of my face. Left eye damaged. Skin destroyed. A nurse told me I'd been there for 2 weeks, unconscious. The pain when I was awake was unbearable. They gave me morphine, but it wasn't enough. Sokolov visited, looked at my destroyed face and said, "This is what happens when you disobey me. You're lucky I didn't kill you. Now no man will ever want you. You're ruined. Useless to me. But remember, your family is still under my control. If you ever speak about what happened, they die. Understand?" I understood. He disfigured me, threatened my family, and was going to walk away free. I nodded. And he left. I never saw him again. Until I went looking for him. They released me from hospital in April 1946. 6 months after it started. My face was scarred horrifically. Left side melted, eye partially closed, skin twisted and discolored. I was 17 years old and looked like a monster. I went home. Mother sobbed when she saw me. Anna was scared of me. Father and Joseph, who'd been released, looked at me with grief and guilt. They knew what had happened, even though I didn't tell details. The scars told the story. Tomas had been released too. He came to see me. When he saw my face, he couldn't hide his shock. He tried to be kind, but I could see it, disgust, pity. He left and never came back. I don't blame him. I wanted to die. For months I didn't leave the house. Couldn't look in mirrors. Couldn't bear people staring. I was ruined. Sokolov was right. No man would want me. I'd never marry, never have normal life. I was destroyed. But then something changed. Father died in August 1946. Heart attack, the stress, the torture, the guilt over what happened to me. At his funeral, people asked what happened to my face. Mother made excuses, accident, fire. But I was tired of lying. I told the truth. At Father's wake, I told the truth. A Soviet NKVD officer did this. Major Dmitry Sokolov. He prostituted me for 6 months. When I tried to escape, he burned my face with acid. Silence. Then whispers. Words spread. People were horrified. But also scared. Soviets controlled everything. Speaking against them was dangerous. Most people sympathized quietly but wouldn't help. Except one person. A journalist. Underground anti-communist journalist. His name was Pavel. He interviewed me secretly. Documented everything. Names, dates, locations, details. He said, "I can't publish this now. Soviets would shut us down and kill us. But someday, when things change, this will be published. Your story will be known." I realized something. My face was evidence. Every scar was proof. Sokolov thought he'd silenced me by disfiguring me. But he'd given me permanent testimony carved into my own flesh. No one could deny what had been done to me. They could see it. I started documenting everything. Wrote down every detail I could remember. Names of officers who'd raped me. Dates. What they talked about. What Sokolov said. Physical descriptions. Everything. Kept it hidden. Waited. Years passed. 1940s became 1950s. Soviets tightened control. Stalin's purges. Show trials. Anyone suspected of disloyalty was arrested. I kept quiet. Survived. Worked as a seamstress like Mother. My face scared people, but I could still sew. I tracked Sokolov. He was promoted. Captain. Then Major. Working in Moscow now. Career was thriving. Meanwhile, I was scarred and broken in Prague. But I watched. I waited. 1953. Stalin died. Things loosened slightly. Khrushchev took power. De-Stalinization. Some prisoners released. Some crimes acknowledged. I wrote to Soviet authorities. Major Sokolov committed crimes in Prague 1945 to 46. I have evidence. No response. 1956, Hungarian Revolution. Czechs were inspired. We wanted freedom too. Soviet tanks crushed the uprising. I realized Soviets weren't going anywhere soon. I needed a different strategy. I started connecting with other victims. Other Czech women who'd been raped, prostituted, abused by Soviet officers. There were many. We shared stories, documented, built evidence, waiting for the day we could use it. 1960s. I learned Sokolov was now lieutenant colonel. Still rising. Decorated officer. Good communist. I also learned he'd married, had children. Nice family. Respectable career. While I was scarred and alone. 1968. Prague Spring. Brief period of freedom. I gave interviews to Czech journalists. Told my story publicly. Named Sokolov. Photos of my face published in newspapers. Soviet officers' crimes, headlines. Then Soviet tanks invaded. Crushed Prague Spring. My newspapers were banned. Journalists arrested. I was questioned by secret police. Threatened. Warned to stop. But the story was out there. Documented. Published. Couldn't be erased. I kept going. Every opportunity, every opening, I spoke up. Testified. Documented. Sent letters to Soviet officials, international human rights organizations, Western newspapers. Most ignored me. But some listened. 1970s. Détente. Soviet Union engaging with West. Human rights becoming international issue. Western organizations started documenting Soviet crimes. My testimony was included. A British human rights organization contacted me. Wanted to document Soviet war crimes and occupation abuses. I gave them everything. Documents, names, photos of my face. They published a report in 1975. Named Sokolov among dozens of officers accused of crimes. Soviet Union denied everything. Called it Western propaganda. But the report circulated. Sokolov's name was in there. Lieutenant Colonel Dmitry Sokolov accused of running forced prostitution operation in Prague 1945-46. Physical assault, disfigurement of minor. In print. International. I learned it affected him. Through underground contacts, heard he was questioned by Soviet military investigators. Nothing came of it officially, but his promotions slowed. He'd been on track for colonel. Didn't get it. Stayed lieutenant colonel. His career stalled. 1980s. Gorbachev. Glasnost. Openness. Past crimes being acknowledged. I ramped up my campaign. Wrote to Gorbachev directly. This officer committed horrific crimes. I am living proof. Included photos of my face. Detailed testimony. Soviet investigative journalists contacted me. Wanted to interview me for story about occupation crimes. I said yes. They came to Prague. Saw my face. Heard my story. Published article in Soviet newspaper in 1987. Questions about Colonel Sokolov. Yes, he'd finally made colonel in 1985, but now his name was tainted. His family found out. The article was published in Moscow. His wife, his adult children, read it. They confronted him. He denied it. But I had evidence. Documents. Names of other victims who corroborated. His family didn't fully believe his denials. 1989. Berlin Wall fell. Soviet Empire collapsing. Czech Communist government fell in Velvet Revolution. We were free. And I ramped up my campaign to maximum. 1990. Czechoslovakia was free. Soviet troops leaving. New government investigating communist-era crimes. I gave formal testimony. Named Sokolov and dozens of others. Czech prosecutors opened investigation. I went to Moscow. First time in my life. I was 61 years old. Scarred face now also aged. But I went to find Sokolov. I found where he lived, nice apartment for retired colonel. Knocked on his door. He answered. Older now, 81 years old. He recognized me immediately. My face is unforgettable. He went pale, tried to close the door. I pushed it open, said, "Remember me? Elena Novak, the 16-year-old girl you prostituted and disfigured. I'm here to tell you, I destroyed you." He said I was crazy, that he didn't know what I was talking about. I laughed. "Really? Then why did your promotions stop in the 1970s? Why were you investigated? Why did your wife divorce you in 1988? Why did your children change their names?" I did that. All of it. Every letter I wrote, every testimony I gave, every interview, it all hurt you. Piece by piece. His face showed I was right. He'd spent 40 years with my story haunting him. Every time he thought it was buried, I resurrected it. I was his ghost, his conscience, his punishment. I told him what was coming. Czech government is requesting your extradition for crimes against Czech citizens. You're going to be tried. Your military pension, they're going to revoke it. Your honors, stripped. Your legacy, destroyed. And everyone will know what you did. Your grandchildren will Google your name and find my face. That's your legacy now. He started crying. Actually crying. Begging me to stop. I was following orders. It was war. I'm an old man now. Please. I said, I was 16. You were 35. You made your choices. Now live with consequences. I left him there, crying, broken, and I felt good. Really good. The legal case took years. Russia refused to extradite him, protected their own. But Czech courts tried him in absentia, found him guilty, issued arrest warrant. He couldn't leave Russia without being arrested. His pension was reduced. Investigation found he'd abused his position. Benefits cut. Honors stripped. The Soviet medals he was so proud of, taken away. His name removed from military records as honored veteran. 2006. I received a letter from Moscow. Sokolov had died. Heart attack. Age 97. I was 77. I outlived him by 15 years. His obituary was brutal. Not the heroic veteran obituary he'd wanted. Instead, former Colonel Dmitry Sokolov, convicted in absentia of war crimes, died. That's how he's remembered. War criminal. His family didn't attend his funeral. Wife had divorced him years earlier. Children wanted nothing to do with him. Grandchildren ashamed of the name. He was buried alone in a regular cemetery. No military honors. No ceremony. Nothing. I went to Moscow for his funeral. Stood at the back. There were maybe 10 people there. Old veterans who didn't know or didn't care about his crimes. When they lowered him into the ground, I walked to the grave. I looked down at his casket. And I said loud enough for everyone to hear, "This man prostituted me when I was 16 years old. When I tried to escape, he burned my face with acid. For 60 years I've lived with these scars. And for 40 years I worked to destroy his reputation. I succeeded. He died disgraced. I die victorious." People stared at my scarred face. Some looked away. Some looked disgusted, by him, not me. One old veteran walked over and said, "If what you say is true, he deserved worse." I said, "Every word is true." And yes, he did. They removed his headstone a year later. Vandals kept spray painting it. Rapist. War criminal. Family finally just removed it. Now his grave is unmarked. Anonymous. Forgotten. Meanwhile, my story is published. Books. Documentaries. Museums about Soviet occupation include my testimony. Tourists visiting Prague learn what happened. My scarred face is in history books. I'm remembered. He's forgotten. I'm 91 years old now. I've lived with this scarred face for 75 years. 3/4 of a century. Every single day I see these scars in the mirror. I touch my face gently. And you know what? I'm grateful for them. Not for the pain, never that. But for what they represent. They're proof. Evidence. Testimony that can never be erased or denied. Sokolov thought he was silencing me. He gave me the most powerful voice possible. I looked directly at the camera with intensity. To every survivor of sexual violence, abuse, torture, especially those whose abusers are powerful, protected, seemingly untouchable, don't give up. Document everything. Tell your story. Keep telling it. Find allies. Build your case. It might take years, decades, but truth has a way of winning eventually. My scarred face fills the frame. They thought I'd hide this face. Stay silent. Be ashamed. I did the opposite. I showed everyone. I told everyone. I made my scars famous. And in doing that, I made his crimes famous. His name is now permanently attached to what he did to me. Final words. Dmitry Sokolov died thinking he'd gotten away with it for 60 years. He was wrong. The last 16 years of his life were hell because I never stopped fighting. His career destroyed. His family gone. His legacy ruined. And me. I'm still here. Still talking. Still showing these scars. Still winning. I lean forward. He marked me. And that mark destroyed him. Remember that. What abusers do to us can become the weapon that destroys them. My face is my testimony. My scars are my evidence. And they convicted him long after he thought he was safe. Pause. I survived. I fought back. And I won. Never forget that victims can become warriors. The scarred can scar their abusers' legacies. And justice, even delayed, is still justice. Fade to black. Text appears. Elena Novak died in 2020 at age 91. Her testimony helped convict Dmitry Sokolov in absentia and led to investigations of 34 other Soviet officers accused of similar crimes. Sokolov died disgraced in 2006. His grave remains unmarked. Elena's testimony is preserved in the Czech National Archive and the UN Human Rights Documentation Center.